This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast that takes a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we're looking back at some big performances for the track and field and swimming teams. Plus, Brady Coyne delivered for men's basketball at the buzzer, and the squash teams both picked up big wins Sunday against Wesleyan. That's coming up on the Bates Bobcast. Last week started with a bang as both basketball teams defeated the University of Maine at Farmington on Wednesday. The women's team won at UMF 77-45, and the men's team played a thriller at Alumni Gym. With the game tied at 64, junior Brady Coyne hit a fadeaway jumper from the baseline at the buzzer to give the Bobcats the victory. It was a strong week overall for the men's basketball team as they won in overtime on the road Saturday by a score of 68-62 over UMass Dartmouth. Coyne, who was averaging 12.2 points per game for the 9-8 Bobcats, joins the Bobcast this week for the first time. Well, Brady, you're obviously from a long line of Coynes who have been at Bates through the years. Tom Coyne, your older brother, of course, and Colin Coyne as well. Tell us about growing up in that family. Obviously, a lot of basketball being played, some baseball as well. What was that like from a competitive standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, they were a few years older than me, 5 and 6 years, but we always played baseball and basketball together. And my oldest brother, Thomas, he played basketball, so me and him would try to play more of that. And Colin, I mean, he was good in high school, but a little undersized, and so he was right there playing with us. But me being the youngest one, it was a little bit tougher.
A little bit tougher, but obviously they both went to Bates, and you decided to go to Bates as well. What was that decision-making process like, following your brothers here?
Yeah, so Thomas came to Bates, I think, in 2017. So I was still in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was coming to their games, and Bates was cool. Bates was close to home. Didn't know much about Lewiston besides, it's a big city. And other than that, Bates stood out to me. A couple of our hometown friends went to Bowdoin, so I knew about the NESCAC and stuff like that. But, yeah, once I got to high school, I knew it was the place for me. And it was either between baseball and basketball. And luckily, Furbush gave me a call, and the rest is, never looked back.
So as you were coming up through high school, he was coming up through Bates, basically.
Yeah.
So how many games were you going to here, or were you have your own high school schedule, perhaps?
So I caught most of the games in a year, besides the away ones, because, we had basketball, winter baseball. So, I'd probably get about, say, half the games, maybe a little under that. But whenever I could, I wanted to come up. The guys Bates basketball was always cool dudes, so hanging out with them at home here. Great.
Excellent. And then now you're a junior here at Bates. Take us through kind of your development as a player, and obviously it's culminated in you having a pretty good season so far, here, right?
for sure. Yeah, freshman year, we had a senior captain, Steph Baxter. He was our go-to guy. So coming in, I didn't know what to expect, what my role was going to be, but I figured do what I can. I could shoot the ball, so I just was kind of like a shooting option in the corner for Steph and Jameer. So that was great getting that chance as a freshman. Then sophomore year, I kind of want to make a more of a bigger step in a role. So, but getting hurt a couple games in kind of set back a little bit. But this year definitely trying to make a bigger role, do more than just be a one-way player. And I think this year it's been better. And
you obviously had the buzzer beater. We talked right after the game. You said your first ever buzzer beating jump shot.
Exactly. Yeah, that was awesome.
And so did you? In the huddle when you guys were talking it over, because there was a little time, I think, to prepare for that inbounds play. Did you know it was coming to you, and did you kind of have an idea what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I knew it was coming to me. Coach drew a game plan up, but you never know how the defense is going to guard it. So, but they let me get the pass in, which I knew was going to be the hardest part. And there was 2 or 3 seconds left, so I knew just had to go fast and get it off quick. And so that got it off quick, got to the baseline. Tried to get to the rim to draw a foul because it was a tie game, but they played good defense, so I had to settle for a jump shot, and not the best look, but at least it went in.
Well, fade away from the baseline. That is a tough shot, but some guys specialize in. How much do you practice? That type of shot, kind of.
In high school, coming up before Bates, fadeaways. Those were fine shots. Playing AAU, you could kind of do what you want, but. In college, it's not exactly the best shot. Minus a shot clock being low or a possession like that, a buzzer beater. So There's moments, but yeah, practice them here and there. But again, that's not like a consistent shot you want or we want to shoot as a team. But we always have like those scenarios where you can just like practice those shots, and whenever you're like working out by yourself, shoot some tough shots. So yeah,
I feel like Bobcar's a guy who's pretty good at those fadeaways.
Oh yeah, we love Babacar is one of those dudes who we do want, facing up, taking jump shots in the low post and mid post and stuff like that. So he definitely has a green light, and even like Sean O'Leary, he can shoot a couple of them. But yeah, those bigger dudes can shoot them. Us small guys try to play off 2 feet and pass the ball in the paint.
And then we had a thrilling overtime win over UMass Dartmouth on Saturday. How about Mark Bajan, that step-back three to force overtime? Yep. I saw you going nuts on the sideline. What was it like watching that?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that was a crucial possession, too. Like, it was a nail-biter back-and-forth game, so didn't really know what to expect coming down to the wire. And, you could definitely see Mark wanted to go in go mode, so give him the ball and let him do what he can do. And that step-back three really put us into a good spot going into overtime, gave us some momentum, and I think Elliott had a three right before that too. Mm-hmm. So back-to-back possessions of us, like, getting our feet underneath us and getting our momentum going. So that was good.
You guys have a winning record right now, 9-8 on the season. After an 0-4 start, what was the key to the turnaround in your mind? Because you guys have really, come on strong here as of late, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. Starting off 0-4 will kind of, make anybody rethink and reevaluate how we're playing our games. And I think that's kind of what we did. We took a step back and reevaluated how we were playing, how individuals, came into practice, came into games and stuff like that. So I think we just kind of like looked at ourselves in the mirror and just said, all right, leave it all on the floor and win or lose. Like, there's no excuse if you leave it out there. So I think a collective unit, we just said, like, hey, like, play our hearts off and let's go do what we do and we'll be fine. So, yeah.
Big road NESCAC weekend coming up. Williams and Middlebury. Both teams were off to a little bit of a rocky start this year, so a chance for the Bobcats. And you guys have been doing well on the road. So what are your thoughts on this big NESCAC weekend?
Yeah, big NESCAC weekend. If we can get 1 or 2 out of this, we put ourselves in a good spot. And like you said, like, we're playing great on the road. And if we can keep that going for this, rest 7 more games, then we'll be in a good spot, hopefully be in the playoffs and make a bid in the tournament.
Yeah, I know there's some tough teams in the NESCAC this year, but you guys showed last year, even that Trinity game was a close one last year. They ended up, I think, almost in the Final Four, if not in the Final.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they had a really good season. You guys showed you could play with them. So what are your thoughts on some of these, high-level competition you're looking forward to here?
Yeah, so, I mean, NESCAC games, anything can happen. And, like, as long as our team understands that, like, and, like, we know, like, we can play defense, we can score the ball. So no matter who we play, if we just do what we do, like, we can have a game with anybody. Like, losing to Colby by, double digits and beating them a week before, it just shows how, like, anything could happen. And last year, Trinity was the best team in the conference, and we held our own. So it's like, anything could happen. You could be down 12 points at half and come back and win, or you could be up 12 and lose. So as long as you're going with a winning mentality, then you should be fine.
One of the most fun games this year, at least from my point of view, was back in December against St. Joseph's. Because Schwer had his game, and I think you were one of the ones who threw him like an alley-oop, and he dunked it. Yep. I mean, it seems like you guys were having so much fun in that game in particular. What is that like, kind of, having these guys who can really up the, I guess, intensity, the fun level, sort of. Yeah.
I mean, everyone gets on their feet for dunks. Yeah. I mean, 3-pointers don't want to get you so excited, but having those loud, those dunks are momentum changers. It puts teams down when people, dunk it. So, Babacar, Schwer, like, if we can get the ball to those guys down low, or I guess in the air for the most part, then our momentum will be higher, the gym will be louder, and teams will back down and play on their heels.
From a communication perspective, when you're looking to make that lob, how do you kind of communicate with them?
I mean, honestly, there's not much communication. Yeah. It's just like eye contact, and he'll call for the ball, and there's only one way to pass it, and it's just you got to throw it up and make him go get it. And for those big guys, like, it's easier to catch the ball higher than it is lower. So coach has really been pushing, like, throw it up, and it's just tough being a smaller guy. You want to keep it low, and they want it high. So it's like those long alley-oops are honestly easier for me to throw because I can see it and know where to put it. And it's the ones like when we're close together, those in-betweeners, you gotta figure out which one to throw.
I think it was you or Peter. I thought you were gonna lob it one time to Schwer, you just took a shot instead. It went in. I think it was you. Yeah, it bounced in.
Exactly. It's like sometimes their dude doesn't step up, and you got to shoot a floater, and it's not the best shot, but better than like throwing a turnover off his hand. So,
was basketball always like your sport growing up?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I was pretty steady with baseball and basketball up until November early decision to Bates and Coach Furbush. But yeah, my junior year, like I was prepared to honestly play both, play one or the other, but didn't know which one. I always loved baseball and didn't really want to choose. I kind of wanted it to get chosen for me. So when I started talking to Ferb a lot during COVID, and I think that was kind of when, okay, if I'm going to talk to the Bates coach, he wants me first, then yep, put the cards in, let's do it.
Where'd you play in baseball? Like what position?
I play like shortstop, like middle infield, infield. Yeah, just not an outfielder. Yeah, infield for sure.
Because your brother Colin was always very much a very good defensive second baseman for
Yep.
Bates.
Yeah, he was second base. Like he was capable of playing like second and short, third. But yeah, that's kind of like where our spots, infield dudes. Not really first base, not outfield. Definitely not pitchers.
Not pitching, no.
Yeah.
How much older is Colin than you?
Colin's got 5 years on me.
5 years on you.
Exactly.
And Tom has 6.
Thomas has 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they had a little overlap in college and high school, so that was cool for them. But a couple of my teammates and baseball kids asked, like, have you ever overlapped in sports with them? I'm like, no, I wish.
So you were way younger, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
they definitely had a few years on top of me, but yeah.
Interesting. So those two were probably always playing against each other.
They play. Colin usually played up Thomas's basketball team. Thomas didn't really play base. He didn't play baseball in high school. He kind of stopped at a younger age and focused on basketball. But at least he knew, like, me and Colin were so like split 50-50 baseball, basketball. Don't know what to do, but. Yeah, I mean, we played football. We always played a lot of different sports. I played hockey when I was younger, so like we kind of just did it all. Like my cousins, like some play hockey, some play baseball, some play soccer. So it's kind of just whatever you're doing these seasons, pick it up and do it.
Your parents play sports?
My dad played he played baseball at USM.
Okay.
In the God, I don't even know what year he graduated, but yeah, he went to UMaine, then USM. Okay. My mom, she played basketball in high school, but. My dad, he was baseball, basketball, and football in high school. He played baseball in college.
So they encourage you to play multiple sports?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my whole family, cousins, we all played multiple sports, and then, like, kind of, figure out which sport you want to get to in high school, and you focus on that one, played in the off season, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Excellent. So what's, like, some main things you've been working on with the injury sophomore year and now into junior year? What's the main things skill-wise in basketball you working on, kind of take your game to the next level? Because we've seen the shooting. We know that's there. What else are you working on?
Honestly, I just try to get better on defense, like get my body, like, a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker so I can, like, show that I can guard, like, a team's point guard or a team's shooting guard. So I think, like, just definitely getting my body where it's supposed to be. And also just, like, looking to attack the rim, playing with more of an aggressive mindset because – if you just, like, shoot threes, like, it's very easy for other teams to be like, okay, this kid's going to shoot a three, just stay on him and don't let him shoot. But if you start getting by dudes and, like, start passing the ball and getting other guys involved, it just makes shooting a lot easier, and that's ultimately what I want to do at heart. So do, like, the not-so-fun stuff, but then the shooting will come in. It'll be perfect, so.
Excellent. Well, Brady Coyne, 21 points against UMaine Farmington, including 5 3-pointers, and, of course, the baseline 15-footer fadeaway to win it at the buzzer as the Bobcats went 2-0 last week in non-conference play. They have another non-conference game. If you're listening right now, it's a Tuesday, because that's when we post this. It'll be 7 o'clock at Maine Maritime Academy. But then you want to check out the Bobcats at Williams and Middlebury this upcoming weekend. A couple of big NESCAC games. Brady, thanks so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you.
A number of Tarbell Pool records fell Friday night as the Bates swimming and diving teams hosted the Tufts University Jumbos. But the most impressive result occurred right off the bat as the Bates 400-yard medley relay team of sophomore Tim Johnson, junior Marge Samridovich, first-year Nate Oppenheim, and junior Max Corey broke the pool and school record in the event with their winning time of 3 minutes, 15.75 seconds. Johnson also won the 200 IM against Tufts with a time of 1 minute, 53.28 seconds, and showed more versatility by leading off the 200 freestyle relay in a 21.4-second split, as the Bobcats turned in their best performance against the Jumbos in recent memory. For his efforts, Johnson was named the NESCAC Men's Swimming and Diving Performer of the Week, and he is also our male Bobcat of the Week. Well, Tim, a school record in the 400-yard medley relay for the men's swimming and diving team there on Friday against Tufts. You led off with the backstroke, set a pool record yourself there. Take us through that race and what it was like to, break a school record during a dual meet, which is pretty rare, right?
Yeah, so I've been on my best, throughout the season, and I knew that this race could be, like maybe one of my best or close to my best since we were suiting up for it. But we weren't tapered, we weren't shaved or anything. And I was also going against Eric Lundgren, who is ranked the top male swimmer right now in the NESCAC. And I knew that he was good, really good, I guess, in the backstroke. So during that race, I tried to stay with him. And on every wall, I was kind of like, whoa, I'm still with him right now. And then on the third wall, I was like, wow, I'm ahead, actually. And going into that last 25, just giving it my all. And then the backstroke leg, I think, is important because you're kind of setting the tone for the relay. And not even bigger than that, you're kind of setting the tone for the meet, for the men's team. And so it's always an opportunity that I love to have to, set that tone, set the atmosphere. And by just, getting the best time and the school record, it really just it set off the meet really well, I think.
Yeah, because that's the first event of the entire meet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the 400 medley is the first event of the meet.
Yeah, and you guys went before the women even, right?
No.
The women went first? Okay.
And the women also.
They won.
Yeah, they had a great performance there. So they really did well in that event, which led in great to our then victory against Tufts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of almost like a message being sent to Tufts, right? We're here to compete. Is that fair?
Yeah. We're no joke. We're here to compete.
Yeah. So going up against a swimmer who's that highly ranked, I mean, what's going through your mind kind of beforehand? You don't want to show any fear or anything of him, right? Are you excited for the challenge?
Yeah, I'm excited for the challenge.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for a while, and so it's nice to have the opportunity to be the new guy, and there's less pressure, and all you have to do is just beat this one guy.
Do you know it was a pool record for the 100 back when you finished?
When I finished, I wasn't super sure whether it was a pool record. Whether it was a pool record, I didn't care as much for it. I just cared that it was best time. And it was under 50, which I'd been going for a while.
Okay, yeah.
And also, I was like, maybe Nate Berry had gone faster in the pool before. Who knows? I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, he's a pretty good backstroker here.
Yes.
I mean, then watching your teammates do their thing, what was that like after you finished your leg?
I mean, watching March is always magical. He's a phenomenal swimmer, phenomenal breaststroke. And it feels good to, usually it's him having to make up some room after I'm swimming. So it felt good to get a best time and actually send our relay first into the water for him. Give him some clear water, but he's great. And then we have Nate swimming the fly leg, and he's been amazing this season. He's absolutely has a complete range of events that he's just so good at. And then obviously we have Max, who just is a beast in the water. Even coming back from abroad, nothing's changed, hasn't missed a beat. He's just been unstoppable.
Yeah, excellent. And then, I mean, when Max touches the wall first, what was the celebration like?
Well, this is it's a relay team that I've celebrated with a lot.
Yeah.
And so we rely on each other, and we're constantly just always really giving it our best performance. And I think when we are able to actually see something tangible out of that, one of the fastest times in the country, it was great to just to celebrate with them. And we got a really special team this year.
Where do you guys rank right now in the country?
So in that event, we're ranked 8th.
Okay.
Yeah. And we beat Tufts, which is ranked 1st.
Yeah.
In that event.
They had a very fast time earlier this year.
Yeah.
Right.
So at their mid-season event, which they taper down and suit up for, they placed the fastest time in the country.
Gotcha.
So it's even more special being able to beat them in their best event.
Yeah,
or one of them.
That is very special. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of hopes this year for the men's relay teams. I mean, there's obviously more than just the 400 medley. Tell us which ones are you going to be a part of? Because you compete in another relay too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably be on the 4 free relay, the 8 free relay, and then the 2 medley and the 4 medley.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, all the relays are going to be a lot of fun this year to swim. I think big things are going to happen.
Yeah, Max Corey was talking about, competing for possibly a NESCAC title and one of them maybe.
Yeah, always going for the NESCAC title. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's completely within reach. I think the Bates team and what we have assembled right now is really the start of a dynasty. And we always joke about it, but we're building up something right now that I think is super strong in that we'll be able to really prove ourselves at NESCACs and even beyond that at nationals.
And the crazy thing is, I know we have senior day coming up on Friday, but these relay teams, at least the A relays, don't have any seniors on them, which is it's kind of exciting, right?
There's
room to grow even.
It's a great sign. We're a young team, and we have so much development that we can make. And I mean, the NESCAC better watch out.
And then for you, obviously, backstroke and then freestyle. We've talked, I think, about this before, but what made backstroke kind of, is that your favorite event over freestyle?
Yeah, backstroke is definitely my favorite event.
Yeah.
Not always the 100 back until this meet. I mean, honestly, I've in the past I've had more challenges with like sprint backstroke, but I think this season, sitting with PC. The head coach, sitting with him at the beginning of the season and looking back at last year's performance and seeing like what we did well and what we can improve on. I think both PC and I have came to this agreement on what we can do, and it's really shown to work in my sprint backstroke, especially right now.
Yeah, he likes to mix things up in the relay. I know he had Waggle doing backstroke also, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, John he can do anything.
Yeah,
pretty much. He's. And then this year he's swimming IM, so it makes sense he can swim everything. Yeah. He's doing the full range. He doesn't really have a weak stroke whatsoever. I guess backstroke maybe could be considered his weak stroke, but that's saying something because he can swim times that I swim and as a backstroker. So he's just a phenomenal swimmer.
What else stood out to you, I guess, this past weekend against Tufts? Because I know Peter mentioned that. You guys don't have any divers right now because your diver is, I think, abroad. But you guys, if you don't include diving, you won the meet. So what else stood out to you?
I mean, head to head, we kind of crushed Tufts men. So yeah, not having diving is definitely hurts us. But head to head in most of the events, we were beating Tufts, and we weren't. It wasn't even it wasn't a typical meet schedule, in terms of the event lineup. It was more of a sprint meet, and people were also sort of it was sort of people's last chance to try out events that they want to or they haven't done yet this season.
Okay, yeah.
So we didn't even necessarily have the best meet event lineups for the swimmers. So the scores to be that close, and for us not to have diving is a huge statement, and I think it really shot some shivers into Tufts' spine, whoa, that's too close. But it's not something that's going to change. That meet is only going to get closer and closer every year.
Excellent. And I know last year you got experience at NCAs, at NESCACs. Yeah, I think you're part of the 800 freestyle relay at NESCACs that set a school record. I mean, tell me a little bit about the experience of competing in the championship season, because it's coming up last year that you're going to apply maybe this year what you learned, sort of.
Yeah. So where I'm at this year, I couldn't ask for a better, Tufts meet. Yeah. And so in a better last year's season. And I think that has been super, super helpful. Just knowing that these times are within reach in knowing what our team and what I'm capable of. It's just huge. It knocks down a ton of walls or barriers that you build up in your mind. So not to have those and just the goals you have is just to be the best in the NESCAC you're able to swim just as hard as you want.
And NESCAC championships are coming up for the men February 20th through 23rd. That's at Middlebury. Do you know much about that pool? Have you been there?
Yeah, so I swam at Middlebury last year.
Okay.
Beautiful pool.
Yeah.
Super nice. And it definitely has the capacity for people to swim fast.
Yeah, is it a fast? I hear about fast pools. Is it a fast pool?
Yeah, there's the idea of a fast pool. I mean, maybe some of it's superstition, but I think it's real. I would say Middlebury. Yeah, Middlebury's definitely a fast pool. And then we saw the girls or the women had NESCACs there last year, and they had a killer performance. So
yeah,
I think we'll be able to do the same.
Excellent. So what are your thoughts on Senior Day coming up here on this Friday? This is a very different meet. This is truly a bunch of weird sprint events, right? I think we had this last year too. So what are your thoughts on this one? Are you going to do anything?
Yeah. I'll definitely be a part of this meet. It's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a great time to celebrate all the seniors. It's a little less pressure, not a high pressured meet.
Right.
There's fun events that you can swim, and it's really a time for you to have that experience with your seniors. That's not stressful, but more so, let's just go out there and swim. Let's have a good time. And then Like whatever we do, and we get some laughs out of it.
Excellent. Do you know what events you'll be in? Or?
I don't know.
No, yet. Okay.
I hope some fun ones, though.
Yeah, they're all like short sprints, different types of strokes and everything, so that should be good. I guess any other thoughts you want to share on the season so far, what you noticed from this team, and or the Tufts meet we haven't got to talk about yet?
Yeah, the team right now we're coming off a great high from the Tufts meet, and I think that momentum's only going to carry over to CBB, which is coming up in 2 weeks. But CBB, I think, will be a huge showing point for us, and a huge, almost like a flex for us going into NESCACs. But we have great swimmers all around. We really don't have a weak point in our team right now. We have a grade 2 flyer, Liam, who is just is unstoppable. I swim next to him often in practice since we're in the same group, and he I always swim freestyle. And I look over, I'm trying pretty hard, and he'll be next to me, and he's swimming fly. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But I think we just have a really strong team right now, and I can't wait for CBB especially, and then NESCACs follow.
All right, Tim Johnson, our male Bobcat of the week, part of a school record-breaking 400-yard medley relay team there Friday against Tufts. Emerging victorious in that race against the top-ranked relay team in the country in that event. So congrats again, Tim, and thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast.
Thank you.
Speaking of breaking records, Bates men's track and field senior captain Truman Williams broke his own school record in the indoor 200-meter dash on Sunday, racing to the finish in 21.75 seconds at Middlebury's New England Small College Invitational, held in Boston at the track at New Balance. He also surged up the Bates top 10 all-time performance list in the 60-meter dash, now ranking second in program history with his time of 6.97 seconds. Williams is in the midst of a huge senior season, and he joins the Bobcast to look back at his big Sunday in Boston. Well, Truman, a great meet there Sunday for the track and field program down at the track at New Balance in the Middlebury New England Small College Invite. What's it like, first of all, getting a chance to see some of your NESCAC opponents, not NESCAC meet, but what's it like to see some of them, this early on, I guess, sort of in the track season?
It's really fun because I've formed relationships with a lot of the other 400 runners in the region, and a lot of us were doing the 200, and some were doing the 4, and I think 2 or 3 were also in the 60 with me. And it was fun, talking, catching up, because we haven't seen each other since, New England's or the Fire meet, last outdoor. And just being in an environment where, the competition, opposed to, a D1 school or a D1 meet where a lot of the people just don't even know what Bates College is really fun.
You broke 22 seconds for the first time in your collegiate career. How did that feel crossing the finish line senior time?
It was a big weight off my shoulders. I remember seeing Zuri Johnson the 400 earlier that day and reminding myself how big of a stride he has and not how big of a stride that I have, and going head-to-head with him. I was in 5 and he was in 6, and about 100 meters in, I caught up to him, and then in the home straight, he caught back up to me, and for the last 15, 20 meters, we were going stride for stride, but it was one of my strides and half of his stride, and then big lean, and neither of us really knew who won, and looking up at the board, I didn't even care that it was my name or his name in first. I just saw 21-7, and I was elated.
Also, I wanted to ask you about the 60, because the 60 is something you've been kind of in the middle of the top 10 list in Bates history, and then just a massive PR here. Breaking 7 seconds. How have you been working on the 60 recently? Because, I see you more normally as 200, 400, now the true sprint.
Yeah, in high school, I was a 55-meter runner, which was interesting going from that to a 400 runner here. And I felt like I just really was able to get back in touch with my roots there. And then after the prelims, Kevin O'Connor and I ran the exact same time. And I ran first, and I saw it, and it was 100th of a second PR for me. And then he ran the same thing, and it was so relieving. We're right next to each other, and then they list who made the finals by time, and we were 4 and 5. And for a while, we both thought, we're going to be next to each other in the finals, and that was really exciting. But then they swapped things around. Sadly, we weren't. But actually, I think that was the first time we've raced in the same heat since maybe freshman year. Mm-hmm. And it was fun because I've never raced him, but it was also a really big heat. Marco Matroni and another freshman from Middlebury were 6'9" guys, and it was really intimidating because I was right next to him, and there was another Oscar Newman from Williams, who was a 6'9" 5 in the prelims. And it was like, okay, I'm with the big dogs. And I just ran my heart out.
Yeah, and 6.97 in the final, third place at the meet, second fastest in Bates history. How well do you know Derek Shen, who obviously holds the record? I mean, what are your thoughts on possibly chasing his record down?
I would love to. Yeah. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but I'm not going to say it's impossible because I didn't think that I cut off almost a tenth of a second between my prelims and my finals, but here I am. So who's to say it can't happen again? Yeah, certainly. And then, I mean, just looking forward now, we have John Thomas Terrier Classic coming up. Are you going to be competing there? Yes, I'll be running the 500, which is the first time I've run anything more than a 400 since cross country in high school. But I don't know if you want to count 5Ks in that. I've been asking Coach Johnson if I can do the 500 at some point since I think the season opener last year, and just have a chance to do that. I'm really excited for it. I did not realize you ran cross country in high school. Mm-hmm. So you were a sprinter for track, and then it's like 55 meters, and then cross country in the fall. How do you balance the training there? That's very different. Our high school coach would make everyone who ran track do cross country, which was really good because he got extra time with us. But it's not like we worked on 55 speed. Like, we'd do mile repeats, and it really helped because I was a 55 runner, but I was also on the 4x4. So having speed reserves from being able to run a 5K really helped over the course of the season, especially like getting into outdoor when I was really dialing in my 100. Having that to fall back on in the 4x4 is helpful. But you came to college and like, I'm done with cross country. Yeah. I ran the Dempsey Challenge in October. I went 18:42 in the 5K. I surprised myself there. I think that may have been my last 5K though. Ever, yeah. Yeah. So the 500, what are your thoughts? I mean, on that, it's a very fast track. So possibly, what would be a happy time for you in that, I guess? I'd like to go 104, 103, because I think that's reasonable, like looking at the splits and just breaking up the race in different ways. I'd like to go out and around 50 point and then just see what I can come home in. Yeah, I mean, if you were in the 104 range, that would be one of the fastest times in Bates history. So I believe the record is 104.65 in the 500 meter. So that's the school record. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. We might see a 103. We might see a 109. All right. Actually, yeah. Wide range of possibilities. Yeah. Right? Depends on that last 100. Okay, fair enough. Right. Yeah. That was always the key, right? I mean, I remember Ned, he's more of a distance runner, but the sprint at the end is really the key. Yeah. Mm-hmm. These little bit longer races. Just take us through the meet in general. Like, I'm sure you got to see a lot of your teammates compete as a captain. What do you see that really stood out? I definitely think Eli in the long jump, Eli Terrell, he broke his high school PR, which I also did, and I can know, like, it's just a looming weight over you, and I know he loves long jump, and he had a difficult time, like, overcoming that, and just the joy on his face when he was like, I PR'd, it was like, oh, it was a big PR, and it wasn't like he beat it by a centimeter, like, he had a big overall PR, and I'm really proud of him for that. Excellent, yeah, his personal record mark, 21 feet, 4.75 inches there, and you got fourth there in the long jump. Do a lot of guys have that similar thing where they come to college, they have a high school PR, and it takes a while to beat it? In my head, I think there's probably about a year of getting used to new coaching, living on your own, new climate, new training facilities, a different level of competition. Because I imagine a lot of people were pretty highly ranked in their state in high school, and then you come here and you're running against national caliber athletes at the NESCAC Invitational, which is just jarring. And taking a year to get out of your head and just resetting is beneficial. And a Terrier Classic coming up. Obviously, we touched on that. You're running the 500. And then we get into championship season a little bit more with the main state meet coming up. What's that like? I mean, that's going to be at Bowdoin this year on February 8th, so it's right around the corner. What are your thoughts on the Bobcats trying to take home the state title? I think we have a shot at it. I recall correctly, we did it my freshman and sophomore year indoor, and Bowdoin clinched us in like the 4x8 last year. But I'm excited for it. It's just a really nice way to wrap up the indoor season for everyone who's competing. Our team, I think Wyatt Bates, who graduated 2 or 3 years ago, he got a conch shell, and before the meet, we blow the conch shell, and then we all convene in the middle, and we give a big cheer. So honestly, even if we get dead last, it's an experience for the ages. Yeah, certainly. Is it one of your more fun meets, perhaps? Oh, yeah, definitely. My freshman year, we hosted, and I just remember the 4x4, and It was a hard 400 I ran, and I didn't catch the people in first, but it was just a heart-pounding race.
Excellent. So now that you've PR'd a true PR in the 200 meters, your fastest ever, 21.75. What's next for you? What do you think the ceiling is? Is there a ceiling?
I don't know. I had some hamstring issues earlier this week. On Wednesday, I was really iffy on whether or not I'd be able to compete. Went to the trainers, have been working that out. I'm glad I was able to. And for a while, Coach Johnson and I were talking. We were like, maybe run the prelims, don't run the finals, get a good 200 in. I ran the prelims. I felt great. Finals felt good. Felt it a little bit in the 200, but more just like an instability. So I'd really like to see what I'd be able to do out in an all-out 200.
I guess adjusted for a flat track, they have it at 22.14. Is that right?
Yes.
There's an adjustment that's made. So you're 15th in the country right now. That's a pretty good spot to be in, right?
Yeah. I think the cutoff is probably going to be about 22 flat on a flat track. So maybe a fresh 200 will get me there. We'll see.
Excellent. Any other thoughts you wanted to share on the meet we haven't got to talk about yet?
I'm just really proud of this whole team.
Yeah.
We had a split weekend with some people because it's a Sunday meet and then a Friday meet next week. It's difficult, but being able to reconvene in a few weeks, I'm really excited for it.
All right. Truman Williams breaking his own record in the 200 meters here at Bates and moving into second all-time in the 60 meters as well there at Middlebury. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
The squash teams both picked up huge wins Sunday over Wesleyan, with the men's team winning 9-0 and the women's team prevailing 5-4. Senior captain Grace Flaherty clinched the win for the women with a 3-1 victory at the number 2 position in the lineup, a place where she's thrived this year, going 4-1 so far on the season. And Grace Flaherty is our female Bobcat of the week. Well, Grace, an exciting 5-4 win over Wesleyan there Sunday at the Bates College Squash Center, and your match was the clinching victory there on the glass court. Take us through your victory, a 3-1 win there, and how the match went from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the Bobcast. Yeah, so basically, I'll start with last spring. We played Wesleyan at Wesleyan, and it was a pretty devastating loss. We went into it thinking we were going to win, and I think that mindset kind of messed us up because I think we went into it just like not in a way where we were totally prepared to be beaten in the way that we did, and we lost pretty severely. And also it was kind of just a mental blow on the team. So this year our number one goal was Wesleyan, and so there was a lot kind of going into this match and a lot of fire behind everyone who was there for the last time that happened. So we went into this match like very much like we're winning. There was no room for like maybe if we don't win, like it's okay. Like there's no question. Like we were winning this match. So basically, I was playing third. Playing third is always intense because if it comes down to it, you are the deciding match, which I think historically I love. I love that kind of pressure. I always typically play my absolute best when that is happening, and I was getting ready to go on court. Like, everything seemed to be going pretty well. And then the other people on the other courts who were also playing third got on, and I got on. And I was, like, kind of relying on the two other people maybe to win. So, like, maybe I didn't have to, like, go as hard. But I, like, in the first game looked out at the other courts, and they were, like, losing pretty severely. So I was like, okay, I gotta lock in right now. And, yeah, I think I just went into it with like a very specific mindset that nothing was going to get past me and that I was going to make this as quick as I possibly could. And yeah, it was a really good match. I'm really proud of how I played.
I know we had some photos there. You seem to have a lot of friends at the match. They all lifted you up at the end.
Yes.
Tell me about the strong group of supporters you had cheering you on.
I have the best group of friends like ever. My roommates like really have made it out to almost every single game that has been home, and we've had a home season, so we've had a lot of home games. And I think my friends just like they don't really know very much about squash, and I don't think when I was a freshman, I remember a bunch of people came to their first squash match ever, like all my friends, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is like the craziest sport ever! Like I love it." Just because it's such high intensity. And yeah, all of them showed out for me. That was great. The rowing team showed out because they're our sister team, which was awesome.
Nice.
They like all came, which was so cool. Yeah, I had a lot of supporters. It was really cool.
Excellent. And I know your teammate, Navya Gupta, went quickly to New York City for individual nationals and then came right back to help the team win. How cool is it to see her return and help you all get the victory there?
Yeah, I mean, so basically she made it into individuals and we realized, we were like, oh my gosh, like that is the same exact weekend that we have the most important match. And making it into individuals is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like that's with like the top players in the country. And also like top players in the country who are also internationally ranked like in the world. So that's a huge deal. And we were like, hey, like if you want to stay there, like you can, but like just know that like if you don't come back, like there's a chance that we might lose. So she went for like one match. She played awesome and then came literally right back. And I just like remember seeing her in the morning and she looked so tired.
Yeah, I bet.
She looked so tired. But then, and we were just like, you just have to lock in for this one match. Like, it'll be okay. And I'm so glad she came back because if she wasn't there, we would all been bumped up one. That's what happened, I think 2 weekends ago. We had 4 matches. I was playing 1, and everyone else was just playing up a spot. And it just kind of, I think, messed with people's heads a bit. So having her back was awesome.
Yeah, and it seems like you've settled in pretty well at that number 2 position. I think we talked before the year how it would be a challenge, moving up to number 2. But you're 4-1 when playing it too. So how's that gone so far?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I think I don't really love playing 1 because I think that might just be a little too much pressure. And also, I do think that there is a super intense difference in quality from even the 2 to 1. It doesn't matter what school you're playing. Like the 1 will always be really good. And yeah, I don't know. I think I like playing 2. It's nice.
Excellent. You have a rivalry matchup tomorrow at Bowdoin. Very close in the national rankings, these two teams, Bates and Bowdoin. Last year was a tight one against them. What are your thoughts on this rivalry matchup coming up? Again, it's in Brunswick tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
I think Bowdoin's always been like one of our biggest rivals, just like generally for all of our sports. But I think in terms of energy, Bowdoin totally has like us matched in terms of like what they bring in terms of cheering and team support. They're really intense with that stuff. So I think it's going to be a really tight and close match tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And yeah, I think our team has definitely worked on our chemistry this year. And I have like everyone on the team is just like so vocal outside of the courts. And I think that actually makes such a huge difference when you're playing and you've got all of your teammates like surrounding the courts, like screaming as loud as they can. So yeah, I would definitely say Tia and Navia, if you're listening to this, that's you guys. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tight match tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah, you mentioned the team. There's a lot of first years and sophomores who are obviously contributing a lot this year. As a senior captain, what's it like to see some of those young players, and particularly, I guess, the first years and what adjustments they've made, to college squash and everything?
Yeah, I think all of them have stepped up like tremendously. I think in the beginning there was like, I think it's really intimidating coming to school here and like being on such a small team and then trying to like integrate yourself into the environment that's already like set up. And I've tried to like make it as cohesive as I can. I would definitely say, I think at the last time that we got interviewed, like Tia was saying that we balance each other out in a way where she's definitely more hard-handed and I don't want to say like super chill, but like I'm definitely more relaxed. And yeah, I think the freshmen are doing an incredible job of stepping up in their positions.
And then for you, I mean, you do have a few more home matches, but it's weird. They come after the NESCAC championships this year. I find that very bizarre in terms of the scheduling. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm excited to play them, but it is kind of lame because they are on a weekend that goes into our February break.
Okay. Yeah.
We won't have many supporters there, which I think kind of sucks. But I think coming after NESCACs is definitely going to be weird because we're training for NESCACs right now, basically.
Right.
And then we have, like, these 2 other matches. Colby's going to be a huge match. Colby has gotten so much better since, like, my freshman year.
Yeah.
So that'll be a really cool match to have. And it's home, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
They're both home, actually.
They're both home, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to be on the glass court for those matches, for sure.
And also what it does is I think they're important in terms of where you are in the divisional team championships, right? And those are coming up into the month, into early March. You've obviously been to those before. What are those like? You're competing, it sounds like, in Philadelphia, your home state.
My home state, yes. I think with NESCACs, it's like a microcosm of like all of the teams that like are in the NESCACs, and it's like kind of more insular and small.
Yeah.
But once you go to nationals, it's like, I honestly need to prep my freshmen for this because I don't think that they're I mean, all of them are very talented and have been playing squash for a while, so it probably won't be that much of a culture shock. But, like, there's a lot going on at nationals. Like, it's also at the Arlen Specter Center, I believe, and which is, like, a humongous, it's one of the biggest squash centers in the world. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a ton of fun, but, like, I think there's going to be a new level of pressure for that, especially for tomorrow for Bowdoin. And also on Friday Tufts is going to be a tough match, like, for sure. So we're kind of aiming for Bowdoin and then potentially Colby. And with those matches, that will kind of determine where we sit at nationals, whether if we're in the C division or the B division. And we want to be in the B division, even though those are much better teams and there's less of a likelihood that we could potentially, like, win that division. I would much rather prefer to be in that division than to be in the C division.
You want to play the best teams possible.
I want to play the best teams possible. Yeah. And I think when you play better teams, we all play up. Like, we all play better.
Excellent. Any other thoughts you wanted to share on the Wesleyan match in terms of, how the team did as a whole that we haven't got to talk about yet?
There's been a few changes in the squash team as of late, and I am just feeling very proud of the team at the moment. In terms of everybody just stepping up into positions that we weren't necessarily expected to be in for the last, 2.5 weeks. And I think that says something to, just the team and who we are, as players and, as a collective.
All right, Female Bobcat of the Week, Grace Flaherty with a clutch victory there against Wesleyan, helping the Bobcats win 5-4. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Home events this week for Bates Athletics include senior night for the swimming and diving team Friday at Tarbell Pool, and a pair of crucial home games for the women's basketball team as they look to get in the win column in NESCAC play against Williams on Friday and Middlebury on Sunday. Also, don't forget, this Sunday before the women's basketball game is our celebration of National Girls and Women in Sports Day. You can find all the details at GoBatesBobcats.com, and we'll catch you next time on the Bates Bobcast.